This is my review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Okay, so this is the final episode of Stardust Crusaders before we move on to part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable, which we're going to be reviewing next week. But this episode ends on a bit of a high note. It's a really good episode and a great way to end the fight against Dio. So, Dio, having been kicked by Star Platinum, actually survives and uses Joseph's blood to resuscitate himself and gain access to his full healing powers. And sure enough, boasts that it was because of the Joestar's lineage that he was finally able to actually achieve his true potential, as he puts it. And Jotaro immediately goes to attack him, but is stopped when Joseph's spirit, I think, appears and passes on some words of wisdom before passing on himself. Mainly that Jotaro shouldn't let himself get angry, and also that he knows the secret of Dio's stand, and it's all up to him to finally take Dio down, because he's the only one left who's able to actually do it, since everybody else is either dead or comatose, and except for Polnareff, who's just really badly injured in the next alley over. So, yeah, basically Jotaro's the last person to defeat him. But, however, Jotaro decides to take his grandfather's words to heart, but then Dio uses his vampire powers to fully drain the last of Joseph's blood from Joseph's body, and uses it to gain access to his full healing ability now. So, between the two of them, so now Joseph is at the very least a mummified corpse, and Jotaro is notably very upset after witnessing that, and sure enough goes against his grandfather's wishes and actually gives into his anger and attacks Dio. And sure enough, Jotaro only has a few seconds to actually hit Dio before time stops again for him. And sure enough, the two clash for a bit. Jotaro moves at what he believes to be the last second and nails Dio. But then there's a twist revealed. Dio, because he actually drained Joseph's blood, can now stop time for 9 seconds at the very least. So, and Jotaro was banking on him only being able to move for 5 seconds, and that he would be able to move for the last 2. So Dio stopped. And because of that, Dio is able to actually get the upper hand on Jotaro and sends him flying using the world, sending him flying through a building with a barrage of punches and a kick, which causes him to land on a nearby bridge. So with that, Dio starts boasting his superiority over Jotaro and how he's finally going to win, and decides to finish him off and stop time, although he spends several seconds not actually doing anything. And then it's revealed why. So Dio actually left, got a steamroller, came back with the intention of dropping it on Jotaro's head, and started punching it to make it hurt harder. I kid you not. That is how the fight ends, ish. So Jotaro notably realizes this is a bad thing and starts reflecting again with Star Platinum, but eventually the steamroller lands on top of him and Dio seemingly wins, and then boasts about his defeat over Jotaro before lamenting the fact that he's now able to stop time for 12 seconds. However, eventually time continues to move and he continues to stay stopped, and he realizes that he's started to stop moving, and eventually realizes something is wrong. As it turns out, Jotaro is alive and actually has managed to stop time for a full 5 seconds, and was able to actually prolong his death at the hands of Dio and escape. So he was able to actually avoid getting crushed. And then, sure enough, laments the fact that asks Dio how it feels to actually have his stopped time used against him before breaking both of his legs and sending him falling off the steamroller. So, and at which point Jotaro laments that he has no regrets against what he's about to do to Dio, and tells him that he should just hurry up and heal his legs because he's going to be pummeled by Star Platinum anyway. So, yeah, Jotaro points out that he really has no regrets about what's going to happen to Dio. But Dio, he's smart, so his legs are broken, and he realizes that Jotaro is only really living in the moment. And sure enough, Dio uses the opportunity with his broken legs and the blood oozing out of them to blind Jotaro with the blood from his legs, and then tries to finish him off with the world. However, Jotaro is able to reflect his punch and is able to actually take the world's attack in the leg with his fist. So he breaks his hand in the process, but because he punches the world in the world's leg in the exact spot where Dio's legs are already broken, it causes a ripple effect through Dio's stand that causes him to explode. And sure enough, he's finally defeated. So with that, Jotaro realizes that all he really needs to do now is get Dio into the sunlight, and that will finish him off for good. But realizing that, and sure enough, he calls up the Speedwagon Foundation, who picks up Polnareff and also Joseph and Dio's bodies, and begins transporting to the desert. But then while they're on the way there, Jotaro has an idea. He believes that they can actually still save Joseph, despite the fact that he is missing most of his blood and is basically a mummified corpse at this point. So he begins to fit. But Joseph is very close to Jotaro at this point, and he realizes that if his mom's father doesn't come home, it's going to cause a lot of problems. So he realizes that he needs to revive his grandfather, and asks the doctors if they can actually transfuse blood from one corpse to another, hoping that it will actually resuscitate Joseph. And when the doctors tell him it's impossible, he points out that they've done the impossible, so why does he care? Basically that's his response. It's impossible to actually resuscitate your grandfather. I've done the impossible. Do it anyway. That's basically his response. So, and with that, Jotaro realizes that Joseph's heart is long since stopped, and uses Star Platinum to pump Joseph's heart, while they actually resuscitate blood into him. And sure enough, Joseph is revived, although he does do a bit of a stupid joke where he pretends to be Dio for a few seconds, which causes a bit of an altercation between him and his grandson. It's funny. It's not really funny. It's more like, yes, I am Dio. I have been reborn thanks to you, Jotaro. And then it's like, oh no, it's not really Dio. Joseph is just screwing around. So yeah, it's not funny. It's not funny, but mainly because Joseph realizes that it backfired horribly. But it's one of those things that's like, it's a what if situation. It's like, what would happen if this actually was a thing? So it basically opens up the possibility that Dio might have come back by transfusing blood into Joseph, but that's not what actually happened. Joseph is just screwing around. But in any case, they deposit Dio's body into the desert. The sun comes up and destroys what's left of his body, and then Jotaro and Joseph remark on all the people they've lost along the way because of Dio, and now that they can actually rest in peace because Dio, the person who caused all of their suffering, is now gone. So, and yeah, that's where basically where it ends. It ends with a happy ending with Joseph and Jotaro saying farewell to Polnareff at the airport, with Polnareff going back to France and the Joestars going back to Jotaro's house so that they can actually see Holly resuscitated. And it's a happy ending. They have a bittersweet departure with Polnareff before getting onto the plane themselves and going home. And because Dio is now gone, Holly makes a full recovery and also realizes in her heart that Joseph and Jotaro are most likely coming home. So yeah, it ends on a happy ending. It ends with them actually defeating Dio and saving Jotaro's mom, which is the entire point of the show. They were trying to save her, and now they have. So now they can go home and presumably live a normal life, except not really, because there's several more parts left of this series. But in any case, yeah, this episode is just the ending of the series. It is this finale to Stardust Crusaders, and now we get to move on to part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable, next time. So yeah, that's going to be fun when we get to that. But for right now, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also, check out my Patreon in the description below as well. It's only a couple bucks a month. It really helps me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks, and I'm always saying thanks. So be sure to check this out in the description below as well. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace!